Hi, everyone. This is Eileen Dangler. I am Executive Director of NABA, and I am pleased to join my friends at SEBA, and Linda Marie Barrett is the Executive Director there, and host this year's Press Kit webinar to show you all of the valuable points that should be in your press kit. And once again, this is being led by Mary Beth Pelly, event planner at Booktown in Manasquan, New Jersey. So welcome everyone, and thank you, Mary Beth, and I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Linda Marie. For NABA, this is our 7th presentation of the press kits. I always think, oh, why would anyone want to hear this again? But it really is an excellent tool and resource for someone who's just starting out and building the conversation and their program for authors. And also, if you are an established store and you have someone just starting to take over the author program for you, and they need to either have a refresher for your store, or they're learning the concept and the how to lead the program. I did want to make mention that this class is part of the bigger program that's going on with NABA. It's the Professional Bookseller Certification Program, and within event management, you learn more about press kits as well. Little plug. My name is Mary Beth Pelly. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I am an event planner. I've been at Booktown for 11 years. We are located at the Jersey Shore in Manasquan, New Jersey, the real Jersey Shore. And we are an all year round bookstore. We are 1,000 square feet. And when I started with Booktown, it was with a different owner, Rita Maggio, and they had really no author program. So we established the process and the system and how it would work best for Booktown. I did look at different stores and glean ideas. I talked to publishers, but after all that, I was looking for a way to best communicate with the publishers instead of just like chasing them down. So Eileen was good to help develop this press kit program that would be a tool for the booksellers and also for the publishers to communicate efficiently about their author programs. So that is me. You are here to learn how to prepare a press kit for your store, in case you were wondering. A great resource for what press kits can look for, examples of press kits, you can go to NABA.com. They have examples of our stores from our region listed on their website. So it's an excellent tool to get ideas of the different formats and templates. What I always ask is when you go onto that list and you start opening up all the different examples, make sure that you don't straight out copy, but model what you like and model what will work best for your store. I'm going to present you a base template, but there's lots of derivatives that have grown from this. So you'll see some examples that will help you, design something that's unique for your store. Also, the recording of this presentation will be stored on NABA Books YouTube channel. So look for that in a few days. We'll put that up. And you can always replay it for review to capture content. I tend to talk a little fast sometimes. So if you didn't hear something quite, you can review it or also ask me. Also want to just make mention that we have a speed dating session coming up with NABA. It's going to be for a total of a week. This is the dates. I hope they're still the dates, but that's what's on the website. And it's going to be interesting because we're doing it virtual. So we're going to be learning with you on how to do the presentation. So I hope you're all signed up because it's definitely worth it. It's worth it when it's in person. I can't imagine it not being worth it when it's virtual. It's just going to be easier for you. So more people should be attending. So why a press kit? Again, it started from the beginning of when I was helping develop the program for Booktown. I needed a way to communicate to the publishers in one efficient way. The press kit has also developed a good use to be a promotional tool when I'm talking to other authors, bloggers, media partners. I can use this at the, mostly it was, it's pre-printed, but it can be digital. And it can be attached to an email, and it can just help support your case for wanting to do business together. It's also a training tool for your volunteers and staff. When they're coming on to the store and they're hand selling books or they're helping you with events, give them a full picture of your store and use this document to help communicate what you want to know, the most about your store and what makes you unique. Again, it's a marketing tool when you're looking for venue partners. For Booktown, we have a need with only having 1,000 square feet, we have a need to have venue partners. So I use this marketing tool, this press kit, as a marketing tool to let them see what we've done, what we're experienced at, what other kind of partners we have. So it's an excellent starter conversation, so they can, if someone's new and they don't know me, whoopsie, sorry about that. It's so weird, just popped right up. Sorry about that. It's also proof of what your successes are. Now I put success in quotes here because I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed when they see other press kits and saying, oh my goodness, how can I put a press kit? I'm just starting my program. Success is what is successful for your store. Okay, so it may not be, a ticketed event quite yet. You may be starting out in just with an in-store story times or non-author events or local authors coming to your store. Those are all great and those are successful. So I want to just ease anyone's concerns if you're just starting out in your building your event program, that you're not overwhelmed and you're not comparing someone who's been in developing their event program for 10 years. You can't compare the end result to your beginning. So again, it's another great place to also reflect on what you've achieved and establish what your goals are for the next year for what you want your author program to develop to. There's different levels that we're always looking to achieve with our event program. You can't just try to achieve it all. I am telling you from experience, if you concentrate on, say, expanding your attendance, say doubling it. So you say you do 25 attendees and you want to establish 50 events with an average of 50 attendees. If you concentrate on that, it will expand. It always does for Booktown. It seems like it's taking you a long time to build this program, but I'm telling you, over time, you'll see all the different successes and milestones that your author program has made. So start somewhere, concentrate on where you want to take your program, what kind of authors you want to host, or other venues that you want to bring into your program, and it'll happen. Also, when you're preparing your press kit, know your audience. In the beginning, when I started this presentation, I was seeing literally memoirs of stores. So I don't really see that anymore. Everyone's kind of gotten the message. But for those who are just starting out, you don't need to put everything onto your press kit, just the most important things. And we're going to go over what to put into your press kit, what not to put into your press kit. But you want to remember that the publicity department that you're sending this to for this conversation, they work with stores all over the country. So you want to make sure that you are providing them with information that is right there at their fingertips. They don't have to hunt and peck. You want to make your documents scannable. So we're going to talk a lot about formatting. But again, know who's going to be reading this audience. If you're going to be going to, say, another author, maybe it's a media partner, maybe you'll switch up this document, you'll have the core one, and you'll use it for, you'll tweak it for another type of audience. But that's, for this conversation, it's publicity, and I want to make sure it's as succinct as possible. So what to include? That's what we're going to get into. We're going to basically use the basics here: who, what, where, and how. Who you are, what you do, where you're located, and how you do your author events. Being concise is nice. Again, I'm just reiterating this. It's so important. Make sure that you have photos that hold their own on the paper. Everything deserves their real estate on this document. Formatting is key, meaning you have headers, you have paragraphs. If you have a paragraph, you highlight, you bold some text so it stands out. So again, it's scannable. If they want to go back and read the detail, the person who you're giving it to will go back and read the fine detail. But at first, you want to make sure that it's easy to understand in a quick scan. So when we do speed dating in person, we always suggested for the attendees to bring printed copies, because you're actually in person, you're handing them the press kit, and you're leaving that with them. You're also using it as a conversation tool. Now that we are going to have a virtual one, you want to be able to have your press kit PDF'd, secured, and or as a link. And I'm going to show you examples of a link. I got a great example for this class. But you want to make sure that it can be attached to an email or however we're going to be doing it during speed dating. The press kit is the perfect place to highlight your unique selling points. So don't forget, we're all selling books. We're all after the same similar goals. You want to stand out amongst your peers in making your store highlight your store's unique selling points. So what makes you unique? Your location, the genre of author events that you do. Maybe you have staff members that make you unique, okay? And what their talents are or what their interests are in the different books and departments. So highlight those, bring those forth. Also highlight again your special focus areas that that your store does well in or you focus on. So maybe you do events, specific genre book events or environmental nature. You know, maybe you niche into some of these areas. Highlight that on your press kit. It's another great document to, and this is the most important part of it actually, is that you highlight the events that you have had. So we take this document and we look back 12 months at the most successful events and we put that information onto this press kit, onto this document. A lot of times I have a conversation with stores and they say, well, I don't want to really show my sales. I don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm going to just take you down a little bit of what I've learned from this. At one point, we were always showing sales, but we were still developing our author program. And so I was given some advice. They said, you know what, leave the sales off, go to speed dating with a document that has no sales. So I did. And I found that the conversation had holes in it. The publisher wanted to know, well, how did you do on this event? What were the numbers? Who was, you know, how many books did you sell? And so that's really what they want to know. So I went back to providing sales in the document. It's just easier. They want to know, it's not like they're measuring you against another store. They just want to understand the full conversation. So again, going back to my point, give them the information that they're looking for at their fingertips and make it super easy. So I suggest providing sales. But if you don't want to, I have an example, a very good example of no sales in a press kit. And that's your choice. As long as you are able to answer the questions as they come up in the conversation, have a side document then, that's fine. So again, it's not just for author events. You want to include in your press kit non-author events, your story times, your character events. If you have someone in your store that does a great story time, you know, in costume or whatever, you bring in a local celebrity, someone like the chief of police or, you know, the person who owns the dog store in your town. Whatever, include all those events that show success. And again, success is you were able to have an audience. They purchased books. They understood the whole, you know, presentation that maybe they had to buy tickets, you know. So you talk about these events that were successful for your author program, whatever stage you're at. So when you're preparing your press kit, you definitely want to be aware of the trends that are going on. So we have one big trend, right? We were required to pivot incredibly fast. And that was to take our events that were maybe in person and move them into virtual events. And that is one trend that was just right in front of us. But there were some other trends that were starting. There was in conversation, there was panels, you know, so those are some trends that we were picking up from the grids. Now, hopefully everyone on this call is involved with Edelweiss and they're receiving, you know, inquiries through and adding their inquiries in with Edelweiss. So those are the things that you want to be aware of. Just don't take your press kit if you know, to speed dating if you haven't given it a once over and made sure that it's definitely including the current trends that the publisher is looking for. Again, the trends, the conversations about what the publishers are looking for can be seen in Edelweiss, but also when you're looking at other stores, you can see what kind of events they're putting out there. that are looking a little bit different than the straightforward author talks. Okay. So this is marketing. Marketing came up in the last few years of the press kit the conversation with the publishers. And I wanted to bring this to the presentation because the publishers want to know how we're marketing events. And I was surprised how they were checking up on how we were marketing the events. So they were looking at, do we have a newsletter? What was the inclusion of the newsletter? How was the event included? And these are conversations I was having. They wanted to know what I was doing on social. They would actually go to our accounts and look at the social events. Are we putting up Facebook events? Are we doing something on Instagram? Are we sharing it as a story? So this was important to them. I was picking it up and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it in my conversation with the publisher when I was talking about like a successful event. And also I wanted to show that we were using social. So I'll show you examples of that in the press kit. Okay, so this is the part of the call that we're going to show examples. But before we get into it, I'm just going to see if Kit has anything in the chat or the Q&A that would be appropriate to answer now.
Nope, you can keep going.
Okay. All right, so I asked for examples of press kits for this presentation because I wanted to be able to, one, show you examples, and two, give that store some immediate feedback. It's not, it's not an in-depth grammar check and, structure of sentences kind of exam. It's a review. It's just, let me see if you're getting the points across for the conversation that I'm having here, but also the conversation that I expect that you'll be having with the publisher. So we have some stores that I have picked because I didn't get too many examples from this group. So I went into my archive and I'm using some stores that have press kits that have basic templates. I've worked with them, I've reviewed them, so I'm familiar with them. So one of them is going to be Past Christian Books out in Mississippi. Books and Greetings, they were good enough to give me authority to show their press kit, and this is in New Jersey. Booktown, I'm going to show you ours. And East City did submit their press kit, so we're going to go over that. And Writer's Block in Florida gave me theirs. So we're going to see if we can do this I'm going to stop share. I am going to show you some examples. I'm going to screen share, so just bear with me here. I'm going to do desktop. The loves of Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to start with Booktowns, just to show you where it all started. So this is Booktowns, and I try my darndest to keep it to 2 pages. It's a lot of information, you can see, but I use it as a tool when I'm working with the publishers. I actually go down the first page and highlight the information that I want to talk about, and then I flip it over to the second page, which gets into our sales, okay? So Booktown is 1,000 square feet, so it's very important for us to have venue partners. So I let them know that we have a venue partner list at the back here, okay? I tell them that, again, that's skipping ahead a little bit. I just want to let them know that we are in a coastal community. So this is who we are and where we are. And I let them know that we are year round, because a lot of times they'll think coastal community, a beach community, that you're only seasonal. So I re-emphasize that. And that's something unique about Booktown. We're an all year round community, beach community. We have a great location that we're located near a local theater. So that gives it a sense of community center. We have a courtyard that joins those 2 properties. So it's beautiful for an outdoor event that I can put twinkle lights in the trees. So I'm setting the stage and I'm letting them know this is our store. Then I go through how we do marketing, who we report sales to, what are we actively members of, what does our social media look like, who do we advertise with when we do print. If we don't do print, if we're doing any type of online calendars, I include that. Up here, book clubs. The book club conversation is very important right now for book club, for the publishers. So if you have a book club or if you're starting one, put that on your press kit. Different school events. So we have a very large school population right here in our area. So I list the schools because I want them to know that that was one of my pushes, was to establish more school events. We also have colleges. This is something new. So I always star what's new. And so it's new to the table. I'm bringing something new to this conversation. I try every year to do that. And that is a Booktide subscription for our store. And also the book clubs was new as well at the time of this. Also, before I flip the page, I just want to make sure that when I talk about what to include in the press kit, it's who is the contact for events. Not everyone who works at your store, not the owner if they're not doing events. It's the person who does events, and that is clearly here. So if they look at this document, they can be like, okay, I need to talk to Maribeth. If I can't get in touch with Maribeth, I can talk to Peter. He's the store owner. So that's the team for planning events. Make sure your press kit has your contacts on there. Also, I just like, in a printed format, a lot of you are going to be putting together one that's maybe used mostly on digital, but you just want to have your footers, the name of your store. So if they flip the page, or if they print it and they leave it on their desk, they know who this press kit is for. They know where you're located. So I have a header and a footer on this. Also the year that this was produced, because you don't know if you have a press kit, what year we're talking about.
Mary Beth, we have a question.
Yeah.
Those schools that you're listing, are they purely a list of schools, or are they ones you've partnered with already?
Excellent question. So that's important. Those are schools that we actively work with, but I want to also make mention, even when you're listing like your media or where you advertise, make sure it is absolutely current. It's in a current account. It's a current partner. So yes, those are current schools that we work with at the time. Things have changed now, but let's flip this page. Okay. This grid is something that I feel it was an important piece of the development of the press kit, because it was in a grid format. I like the grid format because when the publishers send us the event the event proposals, or the events that are up for proposal, they put it in a grid. So I wanted to repeat that language back to them and put everything back in a grid. So it was important for me to have the information that they want. So it was the author, the book, the publisher that we were dealing with. I'm looking at the top here. The format and the revenue. So the revenue process, like how we were going to get revenue. Was it ticketed? Was it not ticketed? Who was in it? How many were in attendance and what were the sales? And these were our events for the year. Now, this had to be updated, after we were still in major flux with our events. So our event with Harlan originally was in person. We pivoted to virtual, and it was ticketed. Okay. And but with Ellen Hildebrand, she was willing to come and be in person this summer. So it was in person, it was an offsite venue, and it was a bundled with a ticket. So some stores want to break all this out into different columns. That's fine. You do a grid any way you want, but and it doesn't even have to be a grid. I'm just saying this is what I suggest has worked really well with my conversations. They don't have to hunt for the information. It's right there at their fingertips. It's easy to scan. Okay, and these are our different events. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull up another one. I'm going to pull up books and greetings. Let's see, make sure we can expand this. Okay, books and greetings. Their type of author event is celebrity authors, and they did not want to show sales. Fine, this is how we did it. So it's who they are, where they are, and who the contact is over here. Okay, Kenny. These are their events that they've had success with. Okay, you can see by the names that they do celebrity authors. And this is the language that they use. Their events are guaranteed to strong book sales. This is how they are unique. This is what they do, to stand out amongst their peers. Another important, I'm looking at it right now, another important item to put on your press kit is to make sure that you are reporting your sales to New York Times. I have heard of other stores that have not been, they were not able to get an event because of that. So I hope that's basic information at this point, because I feel like between Eileen and I, we have been really driving that home. But if you are not registered, don't panic. It is so easy. Okay, we can point you in the right direction to do that. Pictures on a press kit are important because it shows the experience of your event. So you don't have to put all your pictures. It's hard if you're going to be printing these things. So you want to pick the pictures that have the weight to show the size of your store, the experience of the author and the audience. Nowadays it's a little different, of course. We're not together. So we will have to reinvent these pictures to represent the virtual, the virtual experience. And that could be maybe there's some screenshots that you can include from your virtual. Booktown, Books and Greetings, we're going to have to look at our press kit and get it ready for virtual. So Books and Greetings is doing virtual events. They're going to have to, if Kenny's out there listening, he's going to have to edit this so it's includes virtual. It's going to be an important piece for this year's conversation. Okay, but also again, Kenny has here partners. He has off-site venues that he's included, and also the occupancy, very important. Okay, very important to put your occupancy. Okay, another thing that is shown here on Kenny's is that he does these unique posters that he uses his big windows for display. So he fills them up with advertisement, and that's what he does. It works for him. Okay. Any questions before I switch out? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next example. So I don't know if anyone is familiar with this store, but they have recently added a new location in a pandemic. Why not? Take it all on. So this is one thing that we wanted to, again, we're looking to what we bring new to the table for this conversation. And for Past Christian Books, it's going to be that they've expanded and they're developing their author program over the time. It's a fairly new store, and they have a unique location. So through these pictures, we were trying to show that it was a 2-floored store, and also that they have floor to ceiling windows to overlook the water while you're enjoying the browsing of the store, and also they have attached as a cafe. So this whole experience is being developed and kind of told in a story like, so the publisher, the publicity content can understand that experience. Of course, now it's different. So it's virtual. So I'm going to just flip the page here. Okay, we show pictures here on the second page. Their press kit is 3 pages. Because they wanted to establish the visual impact, there's a lot of pictures on this one that shows the different experience from the different locations. But if you look on this page where the grid is, okay, what they did for virtual was that they did videos, okay? They had the author. Now follow them. Go on Facebook and follow them. And they have some of their videos on YouTube. What they did was they didn't do virtual events. It wasn't working for them. So what they did was they had the author video a promo video, and through that they marketed that and they sold books through that, and they've done fairly well. Okay, so the visibility of the video goes up, and they are they have the post event, if you would, sales as well. But I just thought that was a unique way to reinvent the virtual experience and represent it on the press kit. Again, we will have to figure out this virtual showing of the results of a virtual experience and how we're going to improve and make it special for our store. But do not panic if you're just starting out with your author events. Simple events where you can do a story time, or you do it in person in your store safely, assigning safely. We're going to figure this out. But this is what Past Christian did, and it's represented in their grid. They also did some other notable events that they've done in the past that have helped sell books. And so that makes them unique. Maybe so it's going to be, when they're in the conversation with the publicity contact, it's going to be like, oh, they're very, very involved with their community, very involved with the history of Mississippi and their community history. So those type of authors, and there are a lot of them, they're going to think of that store when they have this information laid out like this. Another thing I want to help with stores when you're doing your press kit is the publicity contact wants to know about media, and they want to know what your ties are and what your relationships are. Now you may be really working off social media, or maybe you still have some ties with some online publications or media centers. Make sure you put that on your press kit so you have some help of getting the word out, okay? All right, so I'm going to I'm going to move on to, I'm going to stop sharing. While I'm doing that, if there's any questions, I'm going to, okay, hold on. Share back to this. No. I'm going to go to this. Okay. Oh, don't look at that. Okay. So we have from this group, I have East City Bookshop who submitted a press kit, and I'm really happy with it because it's, to look at it visually, I see.
Mary Beth, it's not on your screen.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's get this right. Why is it on my screen? All right, bear with me here. Hold on. How's that?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying was that East City Bookshop submitted their press kit for this call. And what I was really excited to look at was that they had it so easy to read. Right away, it was organized. I'm like, they've done some work on this. Maybe they've, followed this class. I don't know. It looks like it's familiar to me. But right away, you say who they are, where they are, and what they do. Okay. Their pictures are lovely. I love the experience that they're showing with the community here. These pictures are great. They have some outreach programs with their local schools and partners. Okay. All right, I'm just moving slowly so you can see this. These are other partners that they have here. So they have the ability to develop some, do business development. Over here on this second page, they talk about their space. Okay, comfortable and inviting. I mean, this is great. They just trying to make the language work for them, works for their store. And you kind of see that with their pictures as well. So very well done. They talk about their square footage. They talk about what their space includes. Okay. They get very specific here with the different areas, what they have in chairs. I mean, I think that's great. Normally we don't include the folding chairs, but I think that's helpful because then I can understand how many people I can get into their store if I was the publicity. This is very important. I'm gonna just highlight this right here. You could see this. Okay, their reach for their marketing. So very important to put this in there, and they have a good handle on it. So this is what their reach is across all channels. Here's their channels. Here are their numbers. Okay, so every time you update your press kit, you want to be looking at those numbers and making sure they're going in the right direction. Making sure if you need to focus on Instagram, you have to see how you can develop that. I think a lot of we find for Booktown, it's Instagram and Facebook. Twitter is mostly for the publishers, but that could be different for your store. So you make sure that you promote and build the channels that are working for you. So they have 4 subscription boxes. Okay, these are things that are putting books, they're selling books, different ways that they're selling books. Okay. See how the formatting is. They have a header, they use bullets, They use shaded in boxes. If you are not a graphic designer, or if you don't have a graphic designer at your disposal or able to use, then just put it on a Word document, okay? The Booktown one was just produced on my Mac drive. It was just a template from Pages. Okay, so it does not need to be graphically beautiful like this, but it does help. You can tell when you read it and you review it, it does help, but it is not necessary. If you're just starting out, just put it on a Word document, format it, talk to me, I can help format it. So we get down to the grid, and this is what the publisher wants to know. What kind of success have they had in previous events? So they've dated them, they put the author, the title of the book, the publisher that they're dealing with, who was in attendance, the book sold, and the location. Perfect grid, perfect grid. Now what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to add in the virtual. Okay, how did they pivot? And what are they doing going forward? How are they going to, what are their goals for that, for all types of events, okay? So also the contact information is here at the bottom. I don't have much to say on this. I mean, I think it's good. They have a lot of text in here, but it's easy to read. I'm very happy with how they did it. I think they did a great job. Okay.
Okay, we have a couple of questions, Mary Beth.
Go ahead.
The first one is, we are opening a new location in the next couple of months. Any suggestions on how we can present a totally new location that has not had any events yet?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's incredible. So you would be really working off your goals, right? What you plan to do for your store. So put that on paper, okay? And make it clear that, maybe it's a one-pager, and you have who you are, where you are, what you do, what makes you unique, okay? And you're still establishing that, of course. It always is being developed. Who the contact is, where you're located, what media you have in the area, what venue partners you have in the area if you need them. So it can help show that you are invested in developing this program. And then again, going back to your goals, like if you plan on doing virtual and you do some in-persons, talk about that. Put it in a grid that says estimated or projected, so it's super clear. But I think that's going to be great for you. It's going to be great foundation for the conversation as you develop your relationship with your publisher. It's going to be great. Send me a review send me something before you hit print. I'd like to see that.
And the second question is specific. When past Christian books posted their videos, do they run for a specific amount of time? How long are sales measured? How did publishers receive the idea of a video used as an event?
Okay, so this is brand new, and Scott he's having those conversations now, so I have to find out how it's going for him as far as how it's perceived, but it's selling books, so I can't imagine it being an issue for the publisher. But what they do is they post it on Facebook, and some are on YouTube, and they're letting them run. Why not? Because they're still getting visibility. As people scroll and visit your page, they're still going to see them. You could reshare it in a fresh way and still have the sales regenerate. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's it's inspirational, creative, and they didn't do nothing. They did what they could during the pandemic. So to answer your questions, to be determined. But this is the middle of it. This is where we're really creating things that are, to see if they work, and they're thought out, and they're measured, and then they're tweaked. And that's all you can do with your events. Okay. I am going to show you, let's see, a before, and I'm going to show you an after. So Writer's Block in Winter Park, Florida has a lot going on. 2 locations. This was their press kit, and they have they sent it over for me to look over and just use it as an example. I'm not really reviewing it. They're not even really, they've moved on to a different version of this, but I just wanted to show you what they're presenting. So for those of you who are just starting out and trying to figure out what to put on or take off your press kit, this may be helpful to you. So they show where they're located, and here they show a map. Okay, so the reason why in the beginning of this presentation we were always including a map, and I moved away from it, but I do think it's important, especially if you're a new store, because the publicity contact sometimes does not know the relationship of where you are from New York or from a local airport. So if you need to do a visual aid on that, do it. Okay, it's very helpful. Not everyone knows the area of where you are as best as you. So show, help, provide that information, make it easy. And this is a lot of text, you know, in my mind. This is a big block of a paragraph, and I think it could be formatted a little differently. But have no fear, they have reinvented, but I would bullet in here. You know, these are buzzwords like Disney, university, like these are things that people are going to know, you know, familiar with of where you are in location. So I would have bulleted this to just make it more scannable. Let's see. You know, on the side here, they do that they're reporting in a square. And why is it in a square? Because it's important. It's important for the publishers to know that. Okay, so these are all partnerships of, you know, they took the time to make sure I'm assuming that these are all very active partnerships, and that's important. Just don't put them all up there. Book festivals, book festival partners, very important because it produces book sales. So these are things that are unique to them and why a publisher may want to send an author through their, you know, through their area. Now they did put some, it's hard to read a little bit because of the formatting here, but they did have some presentation of, you know, they were in the news, and, you know, if this says 2015, I probably would remove that. I would try to keep things current within the 2-year period, but if it's something you're really proud of, put it in. But things should drop off after, you know, 3 years. This is a very current document. So they talk about the social media, and there's other ways to do this as well now. You know, this of course they've updated, but you know, you can do bullets and icons and just put the number next to it. People understand what that is. And here are their author events. So as you can see, there's no sales. It's a list, it's the year, and they go way back. So I'd probably trim that down. Again, we don't want memoirs. Here are pictures of the spaces and some with audience so they can see what the experience is. Okay, it's helpful, a lot of pictures here. So what they did was, and rightly so, they did the right move. They took this is a 2-page document, okay? This is a 2-page packed document. And they went to this. So I hope you can see it. It's more or less like a PowerPoint presentation. Now, for those of you starting out, do not panic. Do not panic. We're not looking for this. We're not saying it needs to be like this. This is just a great derivative of the template, the original template, and they took it out and they put it into a PowerPoint presentation so it could be better. It could better reveal, you know, the story of their store that they want to project. And I think they did an excellent job. Okay, so now they have 2 locations. Okay, the way they format, so they must have gotten their hands on a graphic designer. Okay, and this is a great way to present their store. Different locations. Here's a map. This helps show exactly where they're located. Okay, it tells them, you know, the airports. So when these authors are traveling, you know, that's how they can plan a tour. Okay, their partners, community partners they talk about. Then they talk about media here. There's a magazine that they're involved with. Okay, I'm kind of just going this through because you don't want to copy this. You just want to give you ideas. These are partners that they have with, so venue partners. So they have access to large venues. That would be interesting to the publisher. Okay. So this is their events and programming. Okay. This is what they're using. And this is an excellent current way to display the information that of how they're pivoting. Okay, so these are the platforms that they're using. Something to think about if you've already pivoted. Publishers do want to know about security. They're concerned about that, the experience, how it's maintained on the virtual platform. So make sure you include that. I think they did a good job here. You can take, you can model this for a 2-page or a 1-page press kit. Okay, and these are some of the interviews that they've done. I like how they presented it with the block, kind of like an Instagram layout, and they talk about it. And then what I want to just stop and just make an important point here. This document does not do the whole conversation for you. You do not want to hand this just out to the publishers and let them figure it out. You want to walk them through this document. Same thing with a 2-page or a 1-page. You want to use that press kit as a conversational tool. It does not replace your conversation with them. Okay. So here's virtual story times, okay, for kids. So they've broken it out. It shows me that they've taken the virtual platform and they've invested the time and interest to make it as best as they can. So this is great. Okay. And I'm just scrolling. Here's their digital platform. Okay. This is how they engage. Okay. And that's it. So I just only show that not to overwhelm, but to just let you take parts of it, take parts of those slides and put it into your beginner start, your press kit. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here. Anything while I go back to my presentation?
No questions right now.
I am talking fast, so let's see if we're going to go back. Here. Okay. So we went through some examples, and again, remember that NABA has some examples on their website. So so included with this, if you've attended this program, you have the ability to send me your press kit. If you're just starting out, or if you want to, have it reviewed before it goes to print, send it to me. Just email it to me, text me that you sent it to me, and I'll be happy to look it over before you go to print. Just give it another set of eyes. Also, if you're looking to maximize your conversation with the publishers and you want some help with that, you haven't done that in a while, or if you haven't done it at all, I'd be happy to walk you through what to expect from this conversation and what you need to do to be prepared for that conversation so it's effective, productive, and fun. Thank you.